Hey, beautiful people. I know it's been a long time, but I'm happy to be back again. So, I would like to welcome you to this amazing session of the Literary Mindset, your number one to go podcast for unraveling the truth about mental health. On the Literary Mindset, we talk mental health, book reviews, culture, travels, and some self care practices that we can use to enable us journey towards a smooth mental well being. Before we delve onto today's topic, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen, to learn, and to grow with us. You guys have been amazing. In fact, you all are the real. Okay, Nora-Claire mine is my name, and on today's topic, we will be exploring how to deal with stress and how to cope with anxiety. Stress anxiety is one human phenomenon that we face on a daily, and of course the difference would be how we perceive it and what strategies or what mechanisms we put in place to be able to combat situations like stress and anxiety. So the comment section remains very open. If you're just joining us, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a thumbs up, share, and leave your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we post a new video. If you're ready, then I am ready. Let's jump right onto today's conversation. What then is stress? For me, stress is when an individual is faced with a situation that is beyond their ability to cope. And of course, it is an internal pressure. For example, you have work pressure, you have financial insecurity. All of these things are examples of stress. And stress is kind of a short term thing. Why do I say it's short term? Because when you remove the stressor from whatever you're feeling, when you realize that your stress level automatically decreases. It's kind of a harmful situation, but I, however, think that it is equally motivating. For example, if you have a work related deadline, and you're stressed about it, it motivates you to come up with strategies that you can put in place to be able to meet up with the deadline. So reasons why I say stress to me, it's kind of motivating at some point, though very harmful if it persists. Now, what then is anxiety? Anxiety, on the other hand, is a normal emotion that people feel from time to time, and it's kind of internal. Unlike stress, which is external, anxiety is internal, and of course it's from variety of factors, like maybe your past experience, your thoughts of the future, fear of abandonment, nervousness, and all of these things are anxiety, and it can lead to a situation of avoidance. It can lead to a situation of withdrawal or isolation. So when you put all of those items together, you should be able to identify that this is anxiety and this is stress. What are the factors that can cause, or what are the factors that can actually trigger an individual to be stressed? There are a lot of factors, there are a lot of causes. First on my list is financial insecurity. When you're faced with debt, of course, you become automatically stressed. You equally have traumatic events like accidents, health concerns, like chronic illnesses, chronic pain, and stuff. You equally have situations of relationship issues. You can have a problem with your friend, your family, your romantic partner, and all of these things can cause you to be stressed or to be anxious at some point. And then we equally have situations of work or school related pressure. When you're faced with work deadlines or school related activities, you realize that you can be stressed at some point. And most importantly, we have major life change as one of the cause or one of the trigger to stress and anxiety. For the major life change, I experienced it in this way. I had to leave my job, my former job, to another job. And now I was not just leaving this job to another job, I was leaving the town in which I had familiarized myself, the town in which everything was going well for me, and I'm going to another new town. And this was a very stressful transition for me that led to depression at some point. And I was like, what if I go back? Is it even worth it? So there are a lot of these kind of things that will trigger you to be stressed and of course fall into depression and become anxious. I had physical breakdown, emotional breakdown, and even behavioral change towards some persons. So these are, and a lot more, are the factors that affect or that trigger anxiety and stress. Now, when you are faced with situations like this, what then do you do? You need to start looking for the symptoms. If you identify symptoms of stress, then you should be able to know that, okay, this is a point where I need to start looking for coping strategy. There are a lot of symptoms of stress which can be classified on the physical, you have emotional, and like I said, you have behavioral symptoms. And for physical, you have situations where you feel like your heart is palpitating, like there's an increase in your heart rate. You are sweating profusely from normal. You don't eat well. You have difficulty sleeping. You experience change in appetite and some other maybe stomach upset and digestive problem and headache too sometimes. And sometimes when these things go on and on for a while, like maybe a week or two, then you should be able to detect that you are stressed or you are being anxious about something, and then you should start seeking help or start looking for mechanisms that will enable you get off that stressful situation. For emotional symptoms, you have feeling of worry, nervousness, fear, and then you have mood swings. Sometimes you have racing thoughts. You see someone is here this moment, you're talking with the person and you feel like the person is with you, and then before you know it, the person snaps, like the person is not there. So these things, sometimes when we go deeper to look at what these people are actually thinking about or what could be the problem, you see that a lot of people are facing battles, fears, worry, nervousness, and they don't know how to express it, but to just walk in their thoughts. And sometimes some people equally get into panic attack, they feel restless, and at some point they can equally just feel overwhelmed with a lot of things. And all of this should be noted as the emotional symptoms of stress. Now, I'm not saying that when you start feeling this thing, you just be like you're lost in your thoughts for a second and you're back, that you're anxious. No, there are times that when these things happen, we monitor ourselves to ensure that it is not regular. By the time it becomes regular, then it should be a call for concern that you need to start looking for coping strategies or seeking professional help. For the behavioral symptoms of stress and anxiety, some people resort to getting into very hard substances like alcohol and drugs. Some get a change in eating habits. Some even isolate themselves from other people, and a lot more. You get, so I'm just listing just a little of some of the symptoms, and I'm saying that these symptoms vary from person to person, but all of what I've said is like the common symptoms that we should be able to look out for. What then should you do? What should be the next step? The next step is nothing less than you looking for coping mechanism, you seeking professional help. Because sometimes we may even have coping mechanisms, but at the end of the day, we'll realize that it's not working for us. It may be working for person A, but it's not working for person B. What then should person B do? So I think in this situation, person B should seek for professional help like immediately. You get, now, what are the different coping mechanisms that we can put in place to be able to combat situations of stress and anxiety? Let's jump right onto that. Stress and anxiety can be looked at in two ways in terms of the coping mechanism. First, we can look at the positive coping mechanism. Personally, for me, when I'm stressed, I stick to what I feel like it's positive. For example, I engage in some of my hobbies like reading, biking, seek social support from one or two family members, and even friends. Sometimes I, of course, do some exercises. I equally meditate. You, I sing. I can write down my thoughts in a journal. Writing my thoughts in a journal for me, it's like telling someone about how I feel. But then the journal, of course, cannot talk. But then you feel some relief when that is done. So this all of these things I've listed are the different coping mechanisms that we can employ, which are positive, that we can employ to be able to combat situations of stress and anxiety. But of course, there are equally array of negative coping mechanisms that we equally should look at. Some people, when they are stressed or going through or wanting to cope with anxiety, these are the different things that they do. Sometimes some of them become so violent. They feel like if they get violent, they are going to relieve themselves of the stress. They are going to feel good about themselves. But then I feel like when you get violent and you get injured in the process, then you're causing more harm to your physical health than you are planning to work on it. Secondly, a lot of people think that when they are faced with situation of stress or they are faced with anxiety, they should engage into consuming or using hard substances like drugs, like alcohol. No matter how stressed you are, a bottle of Jack Daniels will never work the magic. Yes, you may feel good at some point after gulping down a bottle or two, but dear, if you sleep and wake up, I bet you your problems will be like Mount Zion that cannot be moved. Yeah, your problem will be like Goliath. So for me, I feel like this is not the best approach towards um, solving issues of stress and anxiety. When you do this, you cause more effect to your physical health than the way you want to solve problems, because cigarette, drugs, alcohol may damage your internal organs, and of course you know these things. Yeah, some other people, they feel like self-harm is the best way that they can relieve themselves of stress and anxiety. You feel stressed, you are anxious about something, you just go to the nearest drugstore and get poison, get a blade, get anything that you think when you harm yourself you feel relief. No, sometimes you can even drink the poison and die. Life continues. Whether you live or you even die, life continues. So these are really, really bad coping strategies or mechanisms for stress and anxiety. Some other people engage into overeating or undereating. Instead of harming yourself physically, why not engage into something that will do both your physical and your mental health good? Again, some other people get into denial of the situation or avoidance of the situation. By the time you start avoiding your problem, by the time you start denying issues of your problem, it's not going to change anything. By the time you open your eyes to realize it, the problems are still there. When you're ready to solve the problem at that time, the problems will still be looking at you. So these are the coping strategies that people put in place, positive and negative. But then we have listened to the causes, we have listened to the factors that trigger, we have listened to some of the symptoms, and now we are at the different coping strategies. I will advise that before you make any rash decision, you should choose wisely what your coping mechanism or strategy will be. Because at the end of the day, whatever you choose will either make or mar your journey towards a smooth mental well being. So, if you have been watching me right up to this moment, I presume you like the content of today's episode. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, especially on the different coping mechanisms that you put in place to combat situations of stress and anxiety. Thank you for joining me on today's video. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.